What is going on, Cowboy fans? Week 1, we here, baby. We here. We on the Saturday eve of football season of Sunday. This is September 12th. I'm your host, Julian Mazar, Cowboy State of Mind. Haven't done a podcast in forever. I apologize. I've got the other podcast going, the Spur and Claw podcast with me and my co-host, Jimmy Walsh. If you don't know what that is, it's a fusion podcast that, like I said, me and one of my best friends run. It's a Cowboys and Bears podcast. So we've been running that. We've been getting episodes going on that. It's going really good. Been putting a lot of time and energy into that. But now that the season's here, I cannot neglect just the pure Cowboys fans. I cannot. Honestly, stand up. Stand up if you're home, all right? This is week 1 now. All right? No more fun and games, all right? This is go time. Yeah, all jokes aside though, I'm so glad that the football season's here. I'm sure everyone at home is this is what we've been waiting for, and it still doesn't even feel surreal. I've already witnessed one football game, the Chiefs versus the Texans, and it still doesn't feel real. Not until the Cowboys play, at least. And, man, there's a lot of storylines going into this game tomorrow. As the most recent one, they're not even sure maybe where the game's going to be played at. The Cowboys landed in LA probably about an hour or 2 hours ago. But, as you guys know, there's a lot of fires going on in the West Coast. So the Rams' new stadium, SoFi Stadium, it has an open airflow, so the air might not be fit to breathe and definitely not fit to play a football game. So it's gonna be fascinating to see what happens. If the game gets postponed, I don't know what I would do with myself, man. I would just delete 2020 at that point. I hope it doesn't get postponed. Man, I don't know what they're going to do. It might have to be played at AT&T Stadium tomorrow, which, I mean, the logistics of that, setting up a game in, less than 24 hours at a different event or a stadium, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about this too much longer because this is obviously way above where I am, like above my pay grade, above my level of expertise for sure. So yeah, let's just talk football, guys. Let's talk football. The Dallas Cowboys versus Los Angeles Rams. Week 1. It just feels surreal that we're here. I don't know. This game's gonna be interesting tomorrow. For so many reasons. The unknowns for the Dallas Cowboys, even the unknown for the Rams. I've been watching Hard Knocks for the Rams. I've seen, gotten a pretty good feel for how their training camp is going, and I still have question marks on, how they're gonna, how their defense is gonna be deployed, how they're gonna deploy really their offense too. And obviously the same thing can be said for the Cowboys with new coaches, on offense and defense. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. There's going to be some mind games played out there tomorrow. I think there's going to be a lot of adjusting series to series from both teams just to get the feel for, the team that they're playing or, at least that's what the smart team should do. It's going to be interesting, man. I hope it's a penalty-free game, minimal errors, good tackling. That's what you need week 1. That's what I've been kind of worried about, not just with the Cowboys, but just all around the league. I just think it might be a little rusty the first couple series, and then I think, the adapting will come, and, we'll see a good football game is what I'm trying to say. And it stinks it's Sunday night, and I love that it's going to be a Sunday night game. I just have to wait all day until the game happens. But, I mean, primetime, oh man, the feel. I wish I could be fans at wherever the stadium is, wherever the game's gonna be played. I wish I could be fans there because the level of energy would be insane. Let's just get into the X's and O's, if you will. Let's start our offense versus the Rams defense. Rams defense, man, it's got some premier guys on it. Okay, Aaron Donald's the best defensive player in football. Jalen Ramsey, at his best, he's the best corner in the league. He doesn't always play at his best. But I think his minimum is even a top 3 corner. So man, I mean, if you start out with those two players on defense, I mean, you can't really start out much better. They got some good players. In the secondary specifically, like I love Taylor Rapp. Who do they else? Troy Hill. I guess I didn't hear good things about him, but I also recently have heard like he wasn't as bad as advertised. I forget who their slot corner is, like maybe Nikel Roby-Coleman or one of the guys like that, and that's a good slot corner. Their linebacker core, man, I'm not sure of anybody on the Rams linebacker core anymore. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. They lost Dante Fowler. They replaced him with Leonard Floyd, who at this moment is proven that he is not as good of a pass rusher as Dante Fowler. It's going to be interesting, though. I guess the Rams defensive coordinator, he was on the Bears staff like a few years ago, or maybe whenever they drafted Floyd, or maybe got the when they had gotten the best production out of Floyd. So there's a reunion there. I hear they might even play him a little bit at stand-up linebacker, or not stand-up linebacker, but off-ball stand-up linebacker, which, I mean, he's athletic enough, but if you're counting on that as like as a linebacker, like off-ball, I'm not sure about that. They have Michael Brockers, who is a solid one tech. He looks like a monster, but he doesn't always play like a monster. I think that the great saying, and I believe Dane Brugler came up with it, looks like Tarzan plays like Jane. It's a little bit with him. But, being able to watch Hard Knocks, he seems like he's pretty dialed in this offseason. Seems like a good motivator. Obviously he had that one quote where he had been, I guess him and like some Rams teammates have been going on DallasCowboys.com and watching, or watch the scrimmage, maybe watch some of their online videos, which I think is hilarious because it's pretty well known that the Cowboys, especially in their scrimmage, they did not show anything. Were being very mysterious with it, took the numbers off, took the names off the jerseys. They didn't show anything. I mean, it was all close-up shots of whenever they did show players, like just like their faces, like on the sidelines talking. So correspondingly, I went on the Rams website, and they have some pretty viewable training camp practices on their website. So I watched those. Not to mention that they literally have HBO following them around with expensive cameras to document their whole offseason and Hard Knocks. So don't talk to me about a competitive advantage with that, Michael Brockers. Get out of here. And obviously, I can spend all day talking about Aaron Donald. Man, he might be the difference in the game for either team. If we neutralize Aaron Donald, I think it's going to be a dub. I think if, Connor Williams and Joe Looney struggle with Aaron Donald whenever they're matched up against him, I think he has the ability to wreck a game as the best defensive player in the league. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Aaron Donald, I can just talk about him all day. I mean, he's a pressure player. There's a stat that said he isn't a good run player, but I'm not buying that crap at all. Poking the bear right there is what that's doing. I just think he's so well-rounded. He is technically the best in the game. He is probably athletically the best in the game. Mentally, he's insane. So yeah, he's a wreck. He's a wrecking ball. We've played the Rams very frequently, so I'm hoping that some of those guys are familiar with some of his tendencies. Connor Williams even didn't do terrible in the divisional playoff game in 2018 against him. It was more like Ndamukong Suh that was causing problems. Even with Zach Martin, I mean, it's no clear win him versus Aaron Donald. It's definitely not. So that's why I think he's going to be the biggest key to the game, just neutralizing him. Jalen Ramsey, the dude's going to be talking so much smack out there, like $100 million worth of smack. It's going to be. I'm not super worried about him and his side of the field. I mean, if our receivers are pretty interchangeable, any of them can play outside, any of them can play the slot. I don't think Jalen Ramsey is going to shadow Amari Cooper. If he were to shadow anybody, I would assume it would be Amari Cooper. I don't think he would shadow him. Man, I just love our receivers versus their secondary, honestly. So yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to throw against Jalen Ramsey either. I think Amari Cooper, there's kind of a narrative that he struggles a little bit against some of the top tier corners, and I don't really see that. I mean, I got the clips going behind me of him torching Xavier Howard. He did it to Jair Alexander. Yeah, I just think get Cooper on some double moves against Ramsey, and I think we can get him. Yeah, so like I said, I don't think Ramsey is gonna shadow Cooper. So CeeDee Lamb might get some reps against Jalen Ramsey. Michael Gallup might get some reps against Jalen Ramsey. I'd love to see CeeDee against Jalen Ramsey. Just to see where the kid's at, man. You can't get a better test than that week 1. Excuse me, I'm taking a drink. So yeah, I just know the dude's gonna be talking a lot of smack out there. It's gonna be interesting to see if CeeDee's a smack talker at all, because Amari is not. The only person that's ever gotten him wild up was Marcus Peters, and I don't even know how he did that, because, I mean, that's not Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup is not a smack talker, unless if it's, like, absolutely necessary. Michael's just such a nice kid, just like Amari. And CD, I don't know, at Oklahoma, he seemed like he was pretty fiery, so I hope he brings that out, man. I'd love that. To add that to our receiver room, because there's not, like I said, there's not really one of those guys. I think, man, it's the biggest thing is and not to get too much into our offense because I want to talk about our defense. I just can't wait to see all the weapons be deployed tomorrow. The Rams defense, they're going through. Wade Phillips is no longer the defensive coordinator there. Like I said, they have a new guy who was on the. Like I said, he was on the Bears a few years ago. He might have been on the Broncos last year. I think with Vic Fangio, maybe he was like, he brought him over, and then now he got the coordinator job. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. So I don't even know if they run a 4-3 or 3-4. I know last year, whenever Wade Phillips came in, they switched to a 3-4. I just don't know their personnel well enough to really. I mean, with Leonard Floyd, maybe that's a 3-4. They also drafted Terrell Lewis, who I guess he could be multi-schemed. I think he's more of a 4-3 guy, as like a left defensive end. I don't know. I really don't know what their defensive scheme is. Overall, I think I'm not too worried about the defense, even with those two premier guys. I mean, like I said, you really can't get much better than Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. But I think it's kind of there's a lot of there's some high end guys, but I think there's not a lot of medium, like mid tier guys. I remember whenever I was watching the Rams Hard Knocks, and like they obviously do this on purpose. They are not trying to premiere their big players in Hard Knocks. They want to show like the younger guys and like their struggles of making a team. But like the whole time watching the Rams HBO Hard Knocks, I wasn't really familiar with a lot of the players on the team, and I think I'm very familiar with most players around the league in entirety. And for the Rams, I was like, man, who are these guys? Special teams. I'm gonna get into our offense first, or our defense versus their offense in the next round. I'm sorry, I got a little confused there. I think our special teams, it's there's going to be maybe some or not bad blood, but some mixed blood, some old blood, I guess. We brought in their special teams coordinator that's been there for like 10 years, and John Fossil. We brought in Greg Zerline, who has obviously been their kicker for, I assume probably at least 6 years for sure. So, obviously they're going to be familiar. The biggest thing is I think there might almost be a competitive advantage on special teams because our special teams coach is very familiar with their players and their tendencies and their personnel, really personnel more than anything, what guys don't like. And, he's really creative, so I bet he could figure out some way to pinpoint one player that he's familiar with and leverage them into a bad situation. Man, I'm just so excited for the game tomorrow. I'm just so excited. I'm literally losing my breath because of how excited I am. I think it's going to be interesting to see if we see CeeDee Lamb as our punt returner on certain situations. I don't think it's going to be a full-time punt returner all season. I think if the punter is standing in his end zone and CD standing at the 50, 40-yard line to receive a punt, I think that's a perfect situation for him. I don't think if he's pinned back against our end zone that he would necessarily be out there. I just think it's going to be whenever the opposing team's offense is pinned up against their goal line, I think he'll be the guy. And I think in moments where we just need a bolt, I think he will be back there. I anticipate Tony Pollard being our kick returner. Happy about him in that role. Happy about him in general this year. For our other punt returner, though, like whenever CD isn't in there, it's probably going to be Cedric Wilson, if I had to guess. There's been apparently Trevon Diggs has done it a lot in practice, and, I would like that because I think he'd be good at it, but, I mean, if you're not going to put your first-round pick there in certain situations because you don't want to risk him in every situation, is it that much better that you're throwing your second-round pick back there? I'm not sure. I mean, if you're going to be wary about, high draft picks being in there and you're taking CD out, I don't know if Trevon Diggs is the perfect fill-in for that if you're trying to avoid, that situation. I think Blake Jarwin's going to have a huge game. Like I mentioned, I don't really know any of those linebackers. So I think he's going to have a huge game. I think he's going to have a really good season overall just because of all the attention. I mean, you want to stop stuff the box to stop Zeke. Okay, we're throwing to Cooper. Oh, you want to double Cooper? Okay, let's throw to Gallup. Oh, you're going to try to cover Gallup? Oh, wait, we got CeeDee Lamb. Not to mention Blake Jarwin and Tony Pollard. It's so many weapons. I think Blake Jarwin's going to be a beneficiary of that. I think the open field or the middle of the field is going to be so open for him. I think he's going to be working the seams. I think he's going to have a touchdown tomorrow is what I think. I think Zeke is going to – I think we're going to have a really good rushing attack against them. I don't know if it's going to be as good as it was last year whenever we had 200-yard rushers and Tony Pollard and Zeke against them. I just think overall – the running backs are going to have a really good game in the rushing game and in the passing game. I think we're going to kind of give it to them offensively versus defensively. To switch it up to the Rams offense versus our defense, I'm not as confident in this matchup. I've kind of warmed up a little bit to the Rams offense. I was really hating on the Rams in general, even just a couple months ago. I thought that they at best are going to be like an 8-8 team, and they could still be that. I just think on offense, I mean, yeah, they lost Brandon Cooks. Yeah, they lost Todd Gurley. They still have, obviously, Cooper Kupp. He got an extension today. He's a baller. 1,200-yard receiver, I think, or maybe 1,100 yards. And I didn't know Robert Woods went as hard as he did last year. I knew he's a good player, but he also had 1,100 yards, just like our receivers. But the thing about their receivers is they're not as explosive big play type. They were like, I think Amari Cooper, I actually did the math on this the other day. Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup together, they had like 2,300 yards or something like that. And Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp's was exactly the same. It was literally 1 yard off, except that they had like 30 more receptions than us. So that means they're not being as explosive. They're catching a lot more balls, but they're not averaging as many yards as we are per play. They're averaging more like 12 yards a play, while we're averaging more like 16 yards a play. And then Van Jefferson, I really liked what I saw from him in Hard Knocks. I was a fan of him coming out the draft. I think he went to Florida, if I remember correctly. Really good route runner. He's a son of a wide receiver coach. Pretty athletic guy. Obviously, he's a rookie, but if you're a good route runner and you're a rookie, you usually adapt pretty well. It's going to be the physicality of the game. It's really going to be the biggest adjustment for him. But even a guy like Josh Reynolds being behind that, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Not Todd Gurley, though. They drafted Cam Akers in the second round. The kid could be a boss, man. The kid could be a boss. I'm just kind of concerned about the Rams' line for him to produce. He produced at Florida State with no line at all. Probably definitely a worse line than what he's going to be running behind tomorrow. And he still produced, so he's familiar with running behind a bad line. Besides Andrew Whitworth, I mean, I don't see a lot. Like, I think they have like Austin Corbett, like maybe like Note Boom, like it's not great for their offensive line. I think we might struggle a little bit against their receivers. Like I was saying, I think just because those guys are good, they're talented. Cooper Kupp's gonna be highly motivated. That fool might feast tomorrow. He might catch like 15 balls for 160 or something like that. Jared Goff, it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. I guess probably everyone out there would agree with that statement. You don't hear like so many mixed reviews about Jared Goff around the league. Like, it's probably the most divisive quarterback in the league on how you feel about him. Like, he's either like this like scaredy cat, and I hate to say that, but he's just terrible against pressure. Like, just this timid, needs good timing, needs a genius coach yelling into his microphone all the time, telling him what to do, or is he just this super talented, big-armed, not really athletic, but can manage the pocket well and is a pretty smart kid? Like, which one is it? Which Jared Goff are we going to get in 2020? I'm starting to lean more towards positive Jared Goff this year. Whenever it's really important how their run game works. He's really good in play action, as most quarterbacks should be, but their offense really strives off play action. And really, it strives off their run game, just because all the stuff they do behind the line of scrimmage, and it usually ends up in just being like a halfback draw. But they can create so much confusion behind the line of scrimmage. They cue the circus, and it's the most oldest football play in the world that they actually run. I think they can't. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how their offense plays. A couple years ago, they were more of like a big play offense with Brandon Cooks and whatnot, like a really explosive one. I think this year it's probably gonna be more timing based, more hopeful on like yak and just like just timing routes, more like West Coast concept. Just because you have obviously Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are great after the catch. Man, like I said, I think we might struggle a little bit against their receivers. I think it's gonna be. Oh man, I didn't even think about our pass rush. I think, I would, for our defensive tackles, I really just want to see how they look, because I haven't seen Dante Poe play for the Cowboys. I barely saw Tristan Hill play for the Cowboys. I haven't seen Neville Gallimore play for the Cowboys. And Anton Woods I've seen play for the Cowboys, and I'm like, about that, and he's a one technique. And he's the backup one technique now, not to mention. Obviously, Tyrone Crawford, he can slide in there. It's gonna be interesting to see like what type of fronts we play though, because there's even been like rumblings that like sometimes we'll move like Alden Smith to a stand up over the center type on certain plays. We've done that with DeMarcus Lawrence apparently a little bit. So it's gonna be interesting to see the type of fronts we play. I think we're really gonna kill the Rams is on the edge, man. I think DeMarcus Lawrence and Everson Griffin. I think first off, I think DeMarcus Lawrence is going to destroy whoever the right tackle is for the Rams. That dude looks like he's so motivated this season. There he is, right there on my screen. He looks like he's so motivated for this year, and having I've come to the conclusion that Everson Griffin is an upgrade over Robert Quinn. I think from pass rush they're really similar, and I just think Everson Griffin is superior against the run compared to Robert Quinn. Yeah, I think he's going to feast with Everson Griffin on the opposite side. Not to mention Alden Smith. He's probably the biggest wild card on the team. But at this point, from what I've heard, I'm buying in it. I'm buying in on it. I think he's going to be good for us this year. Obviously, Tyron Crawford. It's going to be interesting to see who is a starting right defensive end. I would think it would be Everson Griffin, but it could be Ty Crawford, just because of experience. And Everson Griffin only being on the team for a couple weeks now. But you would hope that Everson Griffin had already secured that job. Obviously, Everson Griffin's going to have a pretty tough task against Andrew Whitworth. I'm not familiar. Actually, I am. I was going to say I'm not familiar with how he's done against the Rams, but I think in like 4 games against the Rams, I think he's had like 2 sacks and like a lot of pressures, a lot of tackles for losses, I believe. So I think he's done good against the Rams and Whitworth in general. I think, like I said, I'm not sure what we're gonna get from our defensive tackles this year. Tristan Hill's gonna be really important because I feel good about Neville Gallimore, but he's a young kid. I mean, he's a rookie, 3rd round pick. It's a little tough to expect. Malik Collins play from a rookie. Obviously that's who he would be replacing if he were playing. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm kind of going off the rip right now. I didn't write anything down. I'm just trying to think of how much I've covered. There's gonna be some great matchups in this game. Like I said, obviously you have the $100 million receiver in Amari Cooper versus the $100 million cornerback. You have the 2016 quarterbacks, one being the 1st overall pick in Jared Goff, one being a 4th round pick, 135 overall in Dak Prescott. And, the conceptions of that, at this point, you would think that Dak should have been the 1st overall pick in the 2016 draft. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. But in hindsight, he should have been. You have Aaron Donald versus Zach Martin. Whenever that lineup happens, that's a fun one right there, to say the least. I mean, they've been battling it out since college, and I think they even battled out in the Senior Bowl, I think, if I remember correctly, because I think Aaron Donald came out in 2014 as well with Zach Martin. There's some other good matchups in this game. Trevon Diggs versus whoever he's covering. Ooh, Herm versus Cooper Kupp is going to be fun. Just because Cooper Kupp's a pretty physical, good route runner, good hands. And, yeah, I just want to see how Trevon Diggs plays. He's probably going to be the player I will try to – him and CD, obviously, those are the players I'm going to try to watch the most tomorrow. Obviously, because one being a 1st-round pick, one being a 2nd-round pick. But I think those 2 players can change the dynamics of our team on their side of the field. I think CeeDee Lamb could put our offense over the top. I think Trevon Diggs, man, I think I have so much high hopes for him, which I know is a lot for a rookie to ask, especially in that cornerback. But I just think, and he's going to struggle because he's going to give up plays. But I think, man, once that dude levels out and gets his football legs under him, he's going to be so good. I'm trying to think of some other matchups. Like I said, I think we're going to give it to him in the run game. I think the linebackers aren't going to be able to handle our running attack and our offensive line. I guess our biggest concern is Lyle Collins missing the first 3 weeks of the season. I'm not too worried about like who Cam Irving is going to get the start. I'm not too worried about who he'll be like if it's him versus Leonard Floyd. Okay, like Leonard Floyd might have a solid game, but I mean you can handle that. But I mean they could get multiple in their fronts and put Aaron Donald there against him, and then what happens in that situation? I'll tell you what, Cam Irving doesn't win. So yeah, if the Rams are smart, they would try to attack Cam Irving, and even you're not exactly sure where you're getting Joe Looney this year. You're not exactly sure where you're getting Connor Williams this year, coming off his ACL. I feel good about our offensive line. I'll feel better whenever Lyle Collins is in there. I'll tell you that. Yeah, man. I think overall, though, to kind of just put a bow on the whole situation, I think what type of I'm confused on like what type of game I think it's gonna be. If I think it's gonna be like more of a high scoring game or if it's gonna be more of a grinded out game. And I'm leaning more towards high scoring just because it is week 1. Defenses are gonna be a little bit rusty. Like I don't know. I could see just because I think we both have pretty high powered offenses. We both have a good trio of wide receivers. So, yeah, I'm leaning more towards a high-scoring game. I'm thinking, first off, to give a little prediction, the Cowboys are going to win the game tomorrow. They're going to win it. They're going to start off 1-0 against the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to spoil them in that new stadium. If it's played there, totally forgot about it if it's even going to be played there. I wish there were going to be fans there to spoil them, but there won't. So I think we'll win. I think the score is going to be 34-27. I think the running back's going to have a good game. I think Greg Zuerlein is going to break the Rams' hearts. I think our receivers are going to have good games. I think Dak, he's going to showcase his first game of his MVP season. And, yeah, we're going to get the ball rolling. Start out 1-0. I think I pretty much wrapped it all up. I'll probably have some more podcasts this week after we get the results of the game. I'll probably have a pod for then. And then I'll see how the scheduling goes for like how many videos I want to drop this week. I'm obviously going to drop a breakdown for next week's game, but I want to talk about what happened in between the week about the game that obviously we play tomorrow. If I'm sounding confusing, I'm sorry. So we'll just see how it goes, man. Cowboys 34-27, I think. You guys heard it here first. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Let's go Cowboys.